Hello and welcome to Prairie Pulse. Coming up a little bit later in the show, we'll hear a musical performance from Michael Ray Pfeiffer and Kurt Hutchins. But first, joining me now is an author, Annika Caldwell. 23 and Debt Free is her new book. And Annika, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Well, as we get started, tell the folks a little bit about yourself and maybe a little of your background.
Yeah. So about 4 years ago, my husband and I got married, and I was just finishing up my senior year actually at the University of Jamestown. Fortunate enough to be finishing that up with no student loan debt, but that wasn't the case for my husband. And so I was marrying into a situation where I knew that we were going to have some debt to tackle. So we have this debt-free journey that we walked along, inspired us to share more of our story. We had lots of friends and family along the way that would ask us, you know, we want to know how you did this. Like, what did you do to get out of debt? And so when we thought we were done with this debt-free journey, what we found is we had really been inspired to start a business called 23 and Debt Free that is dedicated to educating people about finances. And so as we are living and thriving in Grand Forks with our little family, on the side we have this business of 23 and Debt Free that provides keynote speaking opportunities, financial coaching, and those kind of things.
Well, with that said, let's kind of regroup here. And you said you're writing the book from personal experience.
Yes.
You mentioned a little of the debt with student loans, but can you talk more about you know, when you and your husband met and as y'all got married, what debt was brought into the marriage?
Absolutely. So like I said, I was walking into the marriage with no debt, which was incredible, but also not much of an income either, you know, so I wasn't contributing in that way. My husband had graduated with about $40,000 in student loans from his undergraduate degree. The average is right around $38,000, so that's not, I mean, that's not far off base. We also, at that point, he had a couple credit cards and a furniture note. And so that's kind of the debt we walked into the marriage with. Now, I am not exempt at all from contributing to the debt because we actually took on more debt. So our total number by the time we were done was just under $97,000. And so some other debts that accumulated in the first part of our marriage, we had our first baby and weren't ready to pay those medical bills. Kids are expensive. We had some home renovations that got a little out of control. You know, we definitely learned our lesson with saving first and being really ready to pay for contractor fees. My husband actually during that time also decided to pursue a master's degree because we knew that it would lend itself to a job change that would be about a $20,000 raise per year. And so we felt that was an important step for our family. It was a job that would get him home more, but again, we weren't ready to cash flow that schooling, and so we actually took on more student loans when he pursued that degree as well. So we had a whole collection. I mean, we had the credit cards, we had the medical debt, we had, you know, some home debt, we had the student loans. It was a whole collection.
Well, there's so many questions I want to ask you about this, but let's start here. Why did you decide to write the book? Was it because obviously 23 and Debt Free, I've already asked you this off camera, why that title?
Well, I was 23 years old when we hit that final submit button. March 1st, we hit the last submit button on the final student loan and we were debt free, which was a huge birthday present because March is actually our birthday month for both my husband and myself. And so to be debt free was just incredible. But I guess what really got me started on the book, well, I don't know, it came from a few places. Throughout the whole journey per se, I was a stay-at-home mom. And so I wasn't on paper, you know, bringing in an income. I had a piano business, so I was teaching piano lessons on the side, but other than that, like when you looked at the figures, there wasn't something there that was mine. However, if you know anything about stay-at-home moms, it is an economical choice. And so there were a lot of expenses that weren't happening because we made that choice. But as a stay-at-home mom, I really kind of made it my mission to figure out how we could cut as many costs for our family as possible. And so throughout that journey, I started to just compile this list of here are the things we did. And a lot of them are everyday things, the things that on a daily basis are only costing you, you know, pennies or dollars, but over the course of a year, were costing us hundreds, if not thousands. And so that's kind of where it started. It really just started as this list that was, I mean, it was from experience. And then it was my husband who finally just looked at me one day and he goes, you know, I really think that you need to just write a book. He knew that it, you know, had started in the depths of my computer. It was hidden there somewhere. But yeah, it was him that actually inspired the book and helped that move forward.
Yeah. Well, can you talk then a little bit about, and you mentioned it there just as a stay-at-home mom, cutting, but how did you really get out of debt? Because you talked about, I think you said $90,000.
Yeah, it was just under $97,000.
So how did you do it and how long did it take?
Absolutely. So when people hear $97,000, a lot of times there are a lot of assumptions that come along with that. And so I always tell people right off the bat, we did not have a six-figure income. When we started our debt-free journey, our household income was about $40,000 a year. Now, there were a few ways that we really were able to tackle that, because you're thinking, okay, $40,000, $97,000, that's not a lot, and we did it in 26 months. So it was pretty intense. So a couple of things. Like I said, during that journey, my husband actually got a job change. And so we were able to increase our income, which helped immensely. So that $40,000 went up to about $60,000 to $65,000 per year. But the biggest part was really being intentional. So having a budget. People ask me all the time, like, what can I do? You know, what's your number one tip? What's the thing? And I say, well, do you have a budget? You know, because budgeting is the most important thing. If you have that plan, it's so much easier to just be intentional with your spending and to know where it's going. So budgeting was huge, and then cutting costs. By the time we got to the end of our debt-free journey, we were actually living on about 15% of our income. 15% of $65,000. And so figuring out what could go, you know, where we could, you know, weed things out and really tackle that $97,000.
Well, I know people are out there thinking, I mean, so do you have a cell phone? Did you have cable? Did you? Yeah. What are the things? I mean, did you know? You have three children. The fourth one, right here, right now, on the way. Yeah.
Yeah. So there were a lot of different factors. Yes, we did have cell phones. You know, in our day and age, I see that as a necessity. My husband's phone was a work phone. He didn't have the option to go without. But it was things like looking at that phone bill and realizing, you know, we don't need 6 gigabytes of data. I'm a stay-at-home mom, like I use the Wi-Fi. And so getting rid of those kind of splurges. So we couldn't get rid of the phones, but we could really cut back on that data. No, we didn't have cable. I looked at a cable package at one point, and I think the cheapest option in our area was $85 a month. And so we did have Netflix. We kept that. That was like one splurge we did keep as we were going through this debt-free journey, but that was it. We didn't have anything else. We didn't have Hulu. We didn't have, you know, Sling TV. We didn't have cable. We didn't have any of those things. We cut it back to just that, you know, $10 a month or whatever it is. Medical expenses were huge. You know, like you said, 3 kids, like that's a lot, and to be prepared for that. And actually one of the biggest cost cutters for us was looking at our medical insurance and making some big changes there. We realized that we were paying this huge monthly amount and weren't honestly using the plan that we had. And so reevaluating that and going with a higher deductible plan with an HSA allowed us to better invest our money and still have coverage, you know, for those main preventative care, well child check kind of things.
Mm-hmm. So, you know, but you mentioned it too a little bit. You know, why do people get in debt? I mean, when holidays go by, you spend maybe a little too much, and then a dental bill, and then the car breaks down. Mm-hmm. So it's not always somebody's fault that they get in debt.
No, not at all. And there are lots of different reasons, and I think it's different for everyone. And when I share our story, I'm always really honest about our numbers and honest about our situation. But something I always like to remind people is that everyone's story is different. You know, there are different reasons people accumulate debt. For my husband, quite honestly, he didn't realize the extent of what he was signing as an 18-year-old before he went to college. You know, he didn't realize all of the different renewal things that were on that loan. And so he thought that he was graduating with a lot less debt than he actually did. You know, for some people it is just the car breaks down and something medical happens, and it sometimes seems to just come all at once. And so everyone has different situations, and that very much changes your journey as well. Like when we were in our debt-free journey and we found out we were expecting kid number 2, we were pretty intensely in our debt-free journey. Like we were already putting a lot monthly towards our debt. And so at that point, for us, we had to make that decision of, okay, now we're stopping. Like we are gonna pay minimum monthly payments on our debt every month, but everything extra needs to go into a savings account so that when this baby comes, we're ready to pay for her and we're not taking on more debt. And so navigating your journey wherever you're at in a way that you're not taking on more debt and able to cash flow those other things that are maybe hitting you.
Mm-hmm. But it does get a little trickier, doesn't it, to stay out of debt once you've got a couple of kids and yeah.
I would say there's definitely more dynamics to it. And yeah, I think that situation just changes it. And so wherever you're at and you know, whatever the factors are in your life that are making it tricky, you really have to evaluate how can I best tackle this situation. But it does get a little bit messier when you add those kids in there.
Well, you know, what are some ways people can get out of debt? I mean, home equity loans are available if you have equity in your home, but what are some other ways for people to get out of debt other than maybe you've mentioned them all, but are there other ways? Oh,
well, we always advocate for people to pay cash to get out of debt. And so we aren't going to encourage, you know, cashing out a 401k. We're not going to encourage taking out a home equity loan. We really want to figure out, like, how can you tackle the debt that you have with the cash flow that's coming in. And so things that we're going to advocate for people to do, first and foremost, have a budget. When you have that budget in place, you typically spend less and save more. Or if you're paying off debt, pay off more debt. Just because you are keeping track of every penny. You know where it's going, and every penny has a purpose. Another thing that we're going to encourage people to do is actually to use what's called the debt snowball principle. And so it's a really common financial principle, and if you go online, there's all kinds of videos on it. But basically what happens is you order all of your debts from smallest to largest, and completely forego interest rates, which kind of bothers some people, but the idea is that when you use the debt snowball principle, you're paying off those debts so quickly that the interest doesn't matter in the long run. And so what you do is your first goal is to get through that whole long list and pay the minimum monthly payment on every debt. And then at that point, if you still have some money left over, you take that and you put that on that very smallest debt. And so you tackle that smallest one first. And the reason that the debt snowball is so effective is because people see results. Like a lot of times, and this doesn't go for just debt, but it goes for finances in general, people try to do a little bit here and a little bit there and a little bit here, and they don't see progress. And so with that debt snowball, they see that progress faster, you get that first debt paid off, now you use everything from that payment and you put it on the next, and your snowball continues.
Yeah, well, you're right. Seeing results is what we all want.
Yes.
What about, can you read a passage from your book for us? We'd be interested maybe in hearing something.
Absolutely. So something we talk a lot about is the financial freedom that came with being debt-free, or even just choosing to have a budget and start paying off that debt. So may you discover within the pages of this book the invigorating, hope-filled freedom of the free bird, much like the one that Maya Angelou talks about in the Caged Bird poem. May you soar from any cages that hold you back and dare to boldly claim your financial freedom. And may the freedom you find grant you the opportunity to live, to dream, and to give.
Wow. Do people now come to you for advice?
Yeah. Yes. And I actually work as a financial coach on the side, of course, because full-time I'm a mom. And so I get to sit down one-on-one with people and help them sort through their finances.
Yeah. Well, you know, is declaring bankruptcy a last resort, and what are the implications of doing this if you do it?
Yeah, so bankruptcy is something that I absolutely see as a last resort, and it's something that should never be taken lightly. One of the people that was really influential and inspiring our debt-free journey was Dave Ramsey. A lot of people have heard of him. He's quite the financial guru, and he equates bankruptcy to divorce. You know, it's not a lighthearted topic, and it's something that you really have to consider. The reason being, that's something that sticks with you for life, right? It has ramifications down the road that stick with you, and so it's definitely not a decision that should be taken lightly.
What about carrying like a home mortgage, though? I mean, because you got to have a place to live. Is that okay, you think?
So we actually had a home mortgage. So when I say that we paid off $97,000 of debt, I'm referring just to our consumer debt. You'll notice in that list that we talked about earlier, I didn't talk about our home mortgage at all. And the reason we did it that way, like I said, Dave Ramsey really inspired this journey for us, and so we were following his 7-step baby step plan is what it's called. And baby step 2 is paying off all of your consumer debt. Now, absolutely, I think, you know, the big goal is to have that home paid for, right? How good it feels to sit in a home and know that, you know, you don't owe anyone for it. But when you're following his plan specifically, that comes in a later step. When we actually moved this last summer, we sold our house. And so we're now in a situation that we are completely debt-free. Chances are at some point there will be a mortgage in there again. The reason that's viewed a little bit differently than the rest of the debt is it's just more of an investment. Obviously, you want to try to tackle that as well, though.
Yeah. As your family grows, you may need more room.
Yeah, right.
Can you read another passage for us out of your book? I think you've got one selected for us.
Absolutely. So when we were paying off our debt, this is really kind of, I guess, our feelings at the end, which very much we realized was not an end. So on the morning of March 1st, 2017, as we all sat piled on the couch, all 4 of us at that time, and made our final student loan payment, we could not have been happier. We were done. I remember feeling so relieved and thinking, wow, we really did it. Like, we're done. I'm pretty sure I smiled like an idiot for about a month. We had reached our goal. We had paid off our debt, and that morning it truly felt as if we had reached the end of our journey. But in no way was that our end. It was not our end because our financial goals and our financial journey are so much more than being debt-free. These goals go beyond this debt-free milestone to a future with a great retirement package that allows us to give generously, school funding for our children, and lots of opportunities for travel and experiences where we make unforgettable memories with our family. I know that this is not the end, but rather a beginning.
And it can be. We talked about a house and a home mortgage, and I get colleagues and friends and others, you know, financial people that but what about car payments? You know, you got to have a car to get to and from work, but there's a lot of theory on that, you know, you shouldn't pay hundreds of dollars for a new car, but afford what you can.
Absolutely. So we are strong advocates of, you know, starting at the bottom, starting with that really cheap beater car and just working your way up, but saving over time. We actually have 2 paid-for vehicles. The average car payment on a new car right now is $513. And when I consider us being a 2-vehicle family, which we really do need, we utilize both of our vehicles, I honestly can't figure out where we would get an extra $1,000 a month from our budget. Having 2 paid-for vehicles and not paying for things outside of gas and regular maintenance expenses is amazing. And so we strongly encourage people, like I said, to pay, you know, save up, pay for that beater car. While you're driving that beater car, continue saving. Then all of a sudden you can sell that beater car, probably not for a lot, but you can sell it and buy something a little bit better and working your way up that way.
But all this seems to stem on a budget, maybe. I mean, you've mentioned budget a couple of times. Can you just expand on it a little? So really it's sitting down with your partner, if you got one. How do you do that?
How do we do it?
How do you do it? How do you sit down and say, we're going to do a budget?
Yeah. Well, it's not easy right away.
Okay.
It's not. I'm going to be honest. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's the best thing you can do, sitting down and doing that budget. And it's good for so many reasons. Like, it's good for your finances. And you're going to have a plan. you are going to get to decide where your money goes. So a lot of people are scared of budgets because they think of things like, oh, well, it's not in the budget, or you blew the budget. Like, we have all these negative thoughts surrounding budgets, but in reality, a budget is you choosing where your money goes. And so if you are choosing to go on vacation, then you figure out how you're going to cash flow that vacation in your budget. I mean, we've taken lots of vacations on a budget, and we've had lots of fun. But having that budget and sticking to that is absolutely key. It's been awesome for our marriage, and the communication that has stemmed from those conversations.
Hey, Monica, I'm sorry we're out of time.
No,
if
that's
people
okay.
want to get a copy of your book, where can they go?
Absolutely. So it is available on Amazon, and then it's on our website as well, which is 23andDebtFree.com.
Well, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Stay tuned for more. Michael Ray Pfeiffer and Kurt Hutchins are a strong musical duo that thrive when performing music to any audience. Their appreciation for music is evident in their original tunes that are so finely arranged and produced.
Brick house mama, be my baby tonight. Brick house mama, be my baby tonight. Shake your hips crazy and shimmy all night. Well, you can show me once, but please show me twice. I said, brick house mama, be my baby tonight. Brick house mama, be my baby tonight. Brick house mama, be my baby tonight. Shake your hips crazy and shimmy all night. Well, you can show me once, but please show me twice. I said, brick house mama, be my baby tonight. I knew the minute I laid eyes on you, you were on my mind like a new tattoo. Jump up on the bar and do your little dance. I'll give you what you need if you give me half a chance. I said, I knew the minute I laid eyes on you. Brick house mama, I'll be my baby tonight. Brick house mama, I'll be my baby tonight. Shake your hips crazy and shimmy all night. Well, you can show me once, but please show me twice. I said, brick house mama, be my baby tonight. You gotta believe you're the girl of my dreams. You'd make my day if it only kissed me. Turn on the lights so I can see. Come over here and set me free. Well, you gotta believe you're the girl of my dreams. Brick house mama, be my baby tonight. Brick house mama, be my baby tonight. Shake your hips crazy and shimmy all night. Well, you can show me once, but please show me twice. I said, brick house mama, be my baby tonight. All right, let's go. Please, baby, please, drive me crazy tonight. Come on, darling, look me in the eye. I'm gonna love you till the day I die. I'll get on my knees and testify. Please, baby, please, drive me crazy tonight. Brick house mama, be my baby tonight. Brick house mama, be my baby tonight. Shake your show me twice. They said, brick house mama, be my baby tonight. Brick house mama, be my baby tonight.
Well, that's all we have on Prairie Pulse for this week. And as always, thanks for watching.
Funding for Minnesota Legacy programs are provided by a grant from the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund, with money from the vote of the people of Minnesota on November 4th, 2008, and by the members of Prairie Public.